Oh, I'm so flustered. I'm flattered. So flattered. I'm flustered, folks. Thank you very much for that wonderful intro. And of course, I'm here. Okay, you don't need to do it again. I'm
Oh,
here.
oh.
And my no, it's okay, James. I was
Yep.
just testing them to see just how perky they were today, but they've obviously clapped. They're obviously all clapped out now.
Uh,
Right. Coin a phrase. Right. Anyway, I am Mal Burns. Yes, Mal, one word. Burns, the second word. But if you want to find me on Twitter, you're going to have to squash me because Twitter and everybody else squashes me. It's a squashniverse that we live in. The interwebs and oh, are you? Yes, in the squashed verse. Of course you are. You're online, right? Twitter.com/Malburns, Malburns, all one word. And if you're in the mood, you can check out twitter.com/Metaworld News. That's all one word too. But there ain't much there this week, so some weeks there is, some weeks there isn't. But the main feed, the Malburns feed, is where we've got all the stuff for this week. And you're about to hear about that stuff. Not that there's not even that much of it this week, but you're going to be hearing the news headlines today for the week ending the 19th of September. And by an amazing feat of mathematics, from that, you can probably figure out that today we're broadcasting live on the 19th of September.
that works.
Yes, it does, doesn't it? It's amazing what a bit of education in math does
Hmm.
to enhance your understanding of things. Yes,
It all helps.
yes, it does. Anyway, if you're wondering where the voice side of me is coming from, well, you can probably see. But I should introduce him because it's none other than James Out Loud. Hello, James.
Hello, Mel. Welcome back to our wonderful Sunday afternoon,
Indeed.
evening program. Yep.
And today you were quite smart last week. And I'm not saying you're not smart this week, but it's definitely a slight change.
It is a
The,
change.
the,
Yeah,
the,
yeah.
graphic on this T-shirt is kind of low down on the chest, isn't
It
it?
is. It is. Here, I can get a little closer to that. This shirt. Let me put up the creator. This shirt is of a Twitch streamer
Ah,
by the name of Umi no Kai Umi no Kaiju, and she has a Twitch stream with gaming, and she made us a lovely free T-shirt. So who can complain about that? Let's see. It has
it's
some
good.
word on the back as well. Umi no
Yeah,
Kaiju.
that's
So
good. Well, she's still got the manga sort of thing. I presume she's either South Korea or Japan, actually, from that look.
yep,
You would think.
yep,
Yeah. And the name, of course. Yeah.
yep. But
Oh, yeah.
a purple shirt. I can't complain about a purple shirt.
How dare you put your back to me? Sorry. No, I mean, that would really suit me. Back in Second Life, I used to be known as the purple one.
Ah, yep,
Not to be confused with Prince, of course.
yep.
But, I just had default reddish hair and no photo likeness to me at all. But I wore a purple suit and a red tie, and that was about it. But I was the only one around, I think, who was wearing a purple suit.
Yeah.
Very much a homemade purple suit and tie, very basic. But oddly enough, I think the distinction came from that simplicity.
Yeah.
Later on, I managed to I spent a little bit of time preening myself, as one does, so it's a bit more presentable. And I stayed with the purple theme for a long while. I had a nice purple silk shirt. Well, it might have been satin, but it was blingy.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I changed the pants to red. But no, eventually I started investigating other things. And now, actually, for speed, well, you can't get any speed out of Second Life, however hard you try. It's a lag fest. So my little pussycat avatar is a lightweight mesh. I mean, it's the lightest. Yeah, hi there. It's the lightest weight of avatar you can imagine. I can rush around and go really fast on an empty sim, but find a few avatars on a sim and everything becomes laggy. That's just Second Life for you.
Hmm.
It's it's the beauty of open sim is you've got almost the same thing, but it works at some speed. without all the clutter. Mind you, you don't have all the shopping experiences and everything else too. But I'm diverging. We're talking
Digress.
about this is the Metaworld news part of things. The immersive worlds. Nothing to do with the M word.
Nope.
Nothing to do with the M words. So we'll leave that to the Viperverse and the Ventureverse and the I don't know.
Vultureverse.
Ventureverse. That was my favourite one. Yeah. I forgot. I adopted a new phrase and I forget it already. Right, never mind. Okay. So, apart from showing off costumes, James here is fiddling with knobs behind the scenes, under the desk, I guess. Changing camera angles for me, Turn the knob left and you get one picture of me. Top and then right, you get another picture of me. Turn the knob to the middle and you get him. Turn it somewhere else and you actually see my desktop with the very links I'm talking about. This is the magic of Metaworld News. So, without further ado, I think we'll get on with it and show you the first screen. And it just looks like a nice picture, doesn't it? Indeed.
If I have you side by side, you look like twins.
Oh. Well, those, I don't know what I'm wearing actually, well, but the ones on the screen are Ray-Bans, and we covered this last week. They are what Facebook calls smart glasses, and most people call them, well, sunglasses.
Sunglasses. Yep.
Yeah. They do have little cameras on either side, which allow you to record pictures or take photos. And they've got sort of bone-conducting earphones in them, so you can listen to stuff. So they're a bit of a sunglasses plus. And you can even get them fitted with prescription lenses, so they're not sunglasses at all. So they may be very useful for some people who, want to wear a pair of especially prescription sunglasses and want to be able to take quick photos or videos and also listen to stuff without, the headphones that go in your ear. So they're not totally useless, but there is no way in my comprehension of these things that you could possibly call them smart glasses because, well, they ain't.
Basically,
anyway,
right.
That was the news last week, and I'm going to quickly scroll up to see where we are. And then we are, of course, at the scarredghost.com, and that, of course, always warrants a bit of a sound effect, does it not? Woohoo! Woof, woof.
So scary.
Yep. Yeah, I know. Scar Ghost, SKARREDGHOST.com is the venue you click to, so to speak. And this is posted on Mondays. And, of course, it is referring to the week previous to last Monday. In other words, the week that we covered on last week's show, more or less. But he does cover other things and what we do. So it's always a good place to go on Mondays to get a good sort of roundup of the week. Very occasionally it's late Monday or Tuesday, but it's usually sometime on Monday. It's called the XR Wheat Peak. And it's at scarghost.com, as I said. They talk about Ray-Ban stories. I'm glad he hasn't called them smart glasses, because they ain't. Cough, cough. Links are one to come for $499 US. That's a headset and more, etc. And we go on down here. He's just finished working on Venice VR Expanded in VR Chat. As part of his Vroom team. Remember the Vroom? Have we still got a Vroom? Yay! Yeah, the site no longer exists, but the team still do. So, Scar Ghost is part of the Vroom. Maybe we can join up the sound effects somehow.
Sure.
Not now.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
There's a will, there's a way, indeed. Right, so that was last Saturday's closing ceremony. The party was a blast. He's got a link there where you can watch the full recording. In fact, I'm going to do that because I'm not at all sure whether I've seen this. Bloody cookies. Oh, of course, I'm in Facebook. Bugger off. That was a bad move, wasn't it? I clicked on a link that took me to the God Emperor's inner domain.
Wow.
The God Emperor's Underpants. That's what they call the Facebook page. Right. We'll also be live till the 19th if you want to visit them. And of course, today is the 19th. So Well, what the hell? Go to VR chat and complain if it's not still there. Right. Hit motion reloaded for 5 Focus 3. Okay, this is a launch passing on Facebook's sunglasses. They do have two types. There's standard Wayfarer, and I don't know what the goggle type ones are called. But okay, that was his big story of the week, which is strange for. Well, I suppose he has to cover it, but it's a bit off centre really. Just a bog standard pair of sunglasses with speakers, and well, you get the idea. Go on and on about it, couldn't I? I'm obsessed with criticising products that come from the F word. Right. Okay, yeah, he goes on about this. We've got a lot. Then he actually comes on with the Epic lawsuit with Apple. It's very odd. Epic won one lawsuit, a little win, they call it, about sort of allowing pass through to outside companies to Apple's web store. But at the same time, Epic had a little win. And I thought that was in a lawsuit with Epic, but maybe it was with somebody else. But anyway, Apple sort of been doing quite well with the argument in one case, and they've come out the wrong side on another one. Oh yeah, Apple has known monopoly on the market. Epic's claims have been rejected. Basically, Apple continued doing what it's doing already on the App Store, and Epic apparently is now shown to have violated the rules of the App Store. So Apple have all the rights to kick Fortnite out of it. They get up to such mischief, this lot. It's no surprising the judges can't decide who's right or wrong. Once everybody's kicking each other in the balls, and the judge is meant to find a aggressor and find a victim. But both at it. Right. Yeah, judge wasn't tender with Apple too, etc., etc. So, in fact, I think. Oh yeah, the trailer for Matrix Resurrections. This is, of course, part 4 of the original trilogy. Well, it's a new one, but apparently it's being acclaimed as probably the best since the original. It actually works apparently more as a part 2 of the originals rather than an epilogue to the trilogy. But we'll find out when that comes online. It's the same with Dune and Foundation and everything else. I keep looking every day to find a link to all these new movies announced. I can't find them anywhere. I think they're all going to arrive in November and December. And of course, cinemas are open again now. Anyway, I'm not going to dwell on news that's actually over a week old, but very worthy site to check out at the beginning of every week. If you go to skullghost.com tomorrow, you'll probably find the XR Wheat Peak for 210920. Let's replace that one, but you can always look back at the old ones too. So moving on down my list, so to speak, to stuff that really is this week. As I said, there isn't actually a huge amount this week. There's been a massive amount of incoming things in my feeds, largely I think because I have had, and for many years, search engines crawling things to do with the metaverse. There I use the word, the M word, but of course that is now almost redundant. 9 out of 10 links coming in are actually identical copies of some syndicated article, and the syndicated article is written by somebody who hasn't even a clue what a metaverse might be, let alone what it is or was. It's the buzzword, and now the enterprise have got into it too. The Vultureverse is the thing. Every company that wants to be seen as on the leading edge wants to get into this thing called the M word, although they still seem to be having a great deal of difficulty finding out what it is. Well, it isn't yet, is it? That's the problem they've got. Right. Snowball, right? This is a VR collaboration app for remote working and studying. The company is called Snowball, I should say. The app is called Sphere, and it's an enterprise VR collaboration app designed to support remote and hybrid working. Now, this sounds absolutely revolutionary. Where have I heard this before? No, can't possibly.
I don't know. Where have we
don't
heard
think
that
we've ever
before?
heard. Don't think we've
I
ever
don't think
heard
we've
of
ever
anything
heard it. Oh.
nothing like this has ever happened before, has it? Yeah. Ah. So it's available globally now on the Snowball, Snobal website, and it's a newly launched app that builds on the company's 8 years' experience in developing cloud solutions for the enterprise and education. People located in different geographical locations can remotely meet, discuss, and present in VR. I thought it was going to say meet and discuss VR, which would have a totally different meaning. Right? People set up an account, create an avatar. They have avatars. I don't know whether they got legs or not. Share a meeting code with other meeting participants and enable people to meet in the same virtual space, etc., etc., etc. So really, so revolutionary. I just can't really bring myself to continue the summary. It's just impossible, unbelievable. So innovative, so original. Words fail me. So you can find us at itbrief.com.or. itbrief.com.au. AU denotes an Australian site, of course. Maybe it's an Australian thing. This unique ability to innovate. I don't know. But there it is. So check that out if you will. Right, let's get that out. Whoops. Get that out of my list. Good progress here. It's disappearing. We're back. We're back with you know who. Let's get a howl in. Woohoo! Indeed. Now, plausibly, I mean, he's done a really good big review of this, except there's one problem. The product doesn't exist yet, as far as anybody can tell. If it did exist, it is probably right to call them the smart glasses. The product seems to have been released, information-wise, shall we say, as a case of sort of timing. A quick response to the Fastbook's idea of smart glasses that aren't smart at all, whereas these are, and also the press release was immediately before the Apple event, which was on Monday too. For those of you who caught that kind of thing, they've entered the smart glasses field with its own product, which they've announced on their blog. Now they are despite the fact it apparently doesn't exist yet. They've done quite a good video of it. So let's just have a quickie. Oh,
someday in the future, smartphones may become a thing of the past. Imagine every smartphone function integrated into what you wear. Today, we're introducing Xiaomi's first pair of smart eyewear. Calling, viewing, navigating, camera, all integrated in a pair of glasses. Xiaomi smart glasses use optical waveguide technology for lens display capabilities. At its core is a 0.13-inch micro-LED display, smaller than a grain of rice. Light output is as high as 2 million nits. Through reflection and diffusion of the optical waveguide lens, a much larger display is offered to the eye. View notification, phone calls, HUD navigation.
Translate the menu.
Okay, translating the menu.
And take photos. It was said, any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. Xiaomi smart glasses uses an engineering mindset to create a future viewpoint.
right. Well, there we are. Yeah, as you can see, they do have a display functionality that would sort of for some things like instant communications replace your phone. So they could be considered, I think, smart glasses there. They operate using Android, which is, as I say, no, I'm not actually sure they're available yet, but if they are, when they do, being limited to, and well, if they're standalone and don't require anything else, it doesn't really matter what the operating system is. Android is perfectly respectable these days, and obviously it's a cost-effective operating system to be using. Yeah, I think it probably comes up in his review a bit later. But interestingly, it says at the top here, the single micro LED display base wavelength display is green monochrome. Now, it's not clear to me exactly. Apparently, the overlay of what you see in terms of smart information, that is what comes up green. But I think the actual underlying image you see is, light through glass or basically color. So it's just the overlay that is green. You can interact with it by voice or by touch. So both of those things presumably work fairly well with a watch too. Okay, they just say mainly work connected to a phone. So whether that phone needs to be Android, I'm not entirely sure. This is the kind of device I'm waiting for. Obviously, I'd like something a bit more useful than that. But if you can answer your phone and take video calls on a pair of glasses, then, we're getting a long way to, we don't actually need a God Emperor helmet, we certainly can't walk down the street with one on. Yeah, display is only monochrome. Thanks to 2 million nits, it's perfectly usable outdoors. Right, so that green display probably has to do with being viewed everywhere. As usual, Scar Ghost has gone into a lot of detail reviewing the product, especially as it isn't one you can actually go out and get now. That's something different. That's Samsung's thing. Is presumably in the absence of any other video on Xiaomi or Xiaomi, how you pronounce them really. Anyway, read the
It's
review
pronounced
there.
show me, which is great. Like show me the money.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and what's the betting? God Emperor buys them up just for the name,
Mm-hmm.
and then he can have a company called Show Me Fastball,
That would work.
or Show Me Oculus, or Show Me Nonsense, or Show Me the Spy, or
Yeah, I see it.
name, isn't it? Okay.
I see the vision. Yep.
Yeah. So XIAOMI is actually Show Me. Now, what's the betting? The next time I get a post like this up, I've forgotten. but for the moment, I shall enjoy the fact that I'm on a site called Show Me.
I would forget.
Well, I'm not on Show Me's site, actually. I'm on another site called ScarGhost.com, but we're talking about Show Me, or showing you. They're called Show Me. ScarGhost is showing me, Show Me, but I'm showing you. ScarGhost showing you, showing me, showing.
Oh no, it's Inception.
What's that song? 37 years saving me.
Yeah, that's an ABBA song. Yeah.
It's ABBA, of course it would be ABBA, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
Right. Yeah. Okay. We got a segue, barely recognisable segue out of that one, didn't we? Moving on before I get into pickle. Oh, any more of pickle that is. Right. Immerse News. IMMERSE .news. The suffix is news, NEWS there. Right, and this is talking about moving a body through space. And it's an interview with Tamiko Thiel, who is talking about the gorilla, as in gorilla fighters, not monkeys. The gorilla potential of AR, dramatic arcs, and the politics of visibility. You can tell we're in serious territory here, aren't we, just from the subtitle. A group of uninvited artists took over the MOMA by placing their artwork in its galleries using location-based augmented reality. This was back in 2010, by the way. So the pieces were only visible to those who knew they existed and used the accompanying mobile application. We are no, so We AR in MoMA was a groundbreaking AR intervention in which the organisers questioned what is the impact of AR on our public and private spaces. The distinction between the two is fading, or is reality fragmenting into individual perceptions? Yeah, this is where we get philosophical. I bet I would love to sit on a chat about this. Really, wouldn't you? Well, probably not, but I would. Right. Okay. They formed an artist group, and they're working. They're then as Manifest AR, and they are reopening the conversation for the value of AR as a form of art. And yeah, they talk about their pioneering, the things they've been working on or did work on, the Open Documentary Lab, which they're part of, and yeah, yeah, there was a panel at the Open Documentary Lab, and they took part in the panel called Layers of Place, blah, blah, blah. These pictures are not resolving themselves very happily, are they? They're probably low resolution JPEGs. I don't think there's anything wrong with my browser. Anyway, having got through all that, it comes down to basically the magazine Immerse is interviewing the artist here, and what's unique about AR compared to VR, etc., etc. So, interesting little read on that side of things. Moving a body through space, of course, refers to, well, it could be any space, but I mean, when you move your body, across the tarmac from one building to another, that's nothing special about that, really. But of course, the physics involved in moving a body through virtual space, they don't say specifically there, of course, opens up all sorts of things. So, looking at the looking at moving through space is interesting. It's a bit like many years ago, Calfei and others were part of an exhibition here, which was entitled "The New Pavilions." And it wasn't just the architects who were designing fancy, new architectural designs for pavilions, where events are held, but the idea, of course, was that pavilions are public spaces, and a whole section of that was devoted to virtuality, because or things like Second Life, where those were considered to be the new pavilions, not in terms of an architectural new pavilion, but a new venue for the pavilion, as it's known in culture, I suppose. Anyway, before I rabbit on, I can rabbit today actually because I've got that much to talk about, but I'm not going to. So find us at Immerse News. Just immerse.news. IMMERSE.NEWS, and we'll put these ones away. Oops. And here we are, the M word, but fortunately it's just the M word for once. World War M and the curse of the M word. This is my pick of the cynics of the week, isn't it?
Okay. Yep.
This is Abid Barzeve again. You will find all over the place talking on Twitter. If the metaverse represents our digital future, who decides what the hell it is? Well, good point. Will it be standardized, open, and extensible like the network it's built on? Will it have same security issues as the internet, or all new ones? Who owns and profits from which parts? And whatever happened to reality? He will join the growing chorus for open, extensible, community-supported standards, which I think is the only sensible way to go. Anyway, whatever the metaverse becomes, assuming we still call it that, it has to serve us all, including those far too young to speak up right now. His concerns go beyond the diversity of ideas and stakeholders. He sees a diversity of definitions of success, from collectivist to subversive. And then we talk about international property and who owns the name? This is quite interesting. I did wonder about this. I remember people start metaverse blogs and things, and willy nilly they just used them. I always used the word Metaworld, which I think was wise. But apparently, if you search the databases, there are 22 live trademarks that include it, and several pertaining to XR. Um, and if they have the trademark, they have to enforce them or risk losing them. But it's interesting. I mean, if somebody can come along and who already has a trademark or rights to the name, I would argue that the copyright belongs to Neil Stevenson, who's the first to actually mentioned it by name. Conceptually, it was predated by William Gibson in the the early virtual whatever, but he didn't use the word metaverse. So I would say the author coined it, and it belongs to him. Although he never, well, I suppose he did define it. It's a whole novel, really. Anyway, of course, at the moment, Microsoft have gotten out of the problem by referring it as a double entity, as the enterprise metaverse, rather than the metaverse per se. Such profound thoughts haven't actually entered Mark Zuckerberg's head, obviously, but read on, read on, basically. Okay, well, look, you can see all the questions here. They've already got a thing of they need to ask Facebook, but they obviously haven't had a reply, or they're looking at they're asking themselves basically. Yeah, this is bothersome. Soon tech CEOs and standards groups felt pressure to explain their positioning relative to or extending the quotes metaverse. It's now considered by some as the convergence of all things digital and real, which includes, of course, the entire universe, both real and imagined. Can it possibly get any bigger? I love that. That's a kind of good quote, really. Because by definition, if you really want to go all the way, that is true. It's the universe and the real universe and the digital universe combined is the entire universe, therefore, and that only that is the true metaverse. Oh dear. If a definition has no boundaries, no limits, then it ceases to mean anything. This term will someday go the way of cyberspace, cursed and undead. And by the way, cyberspace was the word I was trying to think of a minute ago. It preceded metaverse, and it's probably still since it considers space as part of its context, then maybe cyberspace is just as good as any M word. But even that was open to abuse. Sort of. I wish, in the post-COVID, well, it's not post-COVID by any manner of means, but there's all this stuff online. Why politicians and people who are reaching out to us can't actually say, "Come online." Why do they have to say, "Come to our metaverse" or "See you in the metaverse," as if it's, just say online. Why not? Especially if you're not doing anything that really involves immersive spaces. But I don't know. I'm so fed up and moaning. Actually, there's only so much you can say. Okay. Part of his own big leap in understanding XR came from dropping the old assumptions of a single giant 3D place, which Gibson, Stevenson, Vinge, etc. Once imagined, including the author here. Ask yourself, does the web need a map for us to get around? Did we place websites in a grid? Do you remember GeoCities? Well, the web's too complicated for that kind of thinking. It's beyond being 2 or 3 dimensional. And we need spatial discovery. And hey, look, you should read this. The link is on my feed at twitter.com/Malbert.
That'll work. Right.
And the actual address, I will read it out. It's uxdesign.cc. So it's usdesign.cc. And it's a good read, as Abby is a good person to follow, by the way, on Twitter too. if you're interested in following conversational Twitters rather than just links. Right, okay. Oh dear. I was saying to James before I came on air, this may be the shortest show yet on the basis that I would just be covering the few links I had today, but I wasn't accounting for my propensity to dive down the rabbit hole.
To dig deeper. That's right.
Exactly. Well, I don't know about digging any deeper, just drifting off into the rabbit hole is what
Mm.
I'm calling it. Anyway, this new headset holographic display enables 3D presence remotely with some Forbes, believe it or not, Forbes.com. And this is a particular article by somebody called Joe Koitzer. I think that's the right pronunciation. It's really talking about, well, we all want Star Trek's holodeck, and we're going to be kept waiting for that because, frankly, what makes Star Trek holodeck awesome is also probably impossible, at least in our current stage of technology, wildly improbable. Anyway, goes on about this. They have, who places is it? I don't know who it is now. Anyway, they're building a 3D visual holographic system where you don't you don't need glasses for one thing, and it also allows you to be places that you aren't, which it reminds me a bit not of the Star Trek holodeck, but the Alex Guinness, long distance phone call in the original Star Trek, Star Wars, sorry. Where you're seeing like a telephone call from a 3D avatar. Anyway, they claim it's as revolutionary as the transition from still photography to video. And founder Sean, is this Looking Glass Factory? Yeah, it must be, I guess. He saw Martin McFly gobbled up by a holographic shark in Back to the Future, and he never stopped. He's never stopped looking at this stuff since. When flat becomes dimensional. I must say, I never really took to 3D TV, neither did a lot of the population. But when you consider I'm usually happier looking at a virtual space and manipulating it by the keyboard, walking around, and seeing it on screen. Things that actually can allow more of that environment to jump out from the flat media into things like Looking Glass's spatial systems would seem to me that, well, not so much a big jump as they're claiming here, but it will be a real enhancement. I think I'd see it as an enhancement to screen technology rather than actual 3D, but nevertheless, it's a good thing. I mean, some of the 3D videos when they came out, and this goes back to videotape days, did actually work. Others really didn't. They gave you a vague, effect, but you used to have to put on your 3D glasses anyway, whether they were the clear ones or the red and green ones, and I think you had some big films where like the dinosaur would jump out of the screen at you and all the kids in the room would be scared shitless, but all an illusion because they use offset color to pull the image onto a different layer that puts it ahead of you. Of course, it never actually manages to jump out of the screen because it's always contained within the boundaries of the screen. And I always found it much more fun back in the days of I worked in comic books for a long while, and I used to love doing things. Even one of my business cards from the late 90s is it's my letterhead shows a hand coming in from the edge of this piece of notepaper as it's bleeding off the edge, and the hand is holding at an angle my business card. And my business card has an optical thing in the middle where my initials form a logo. And it's all trickery, but I remember with the comic book thing, you would often have, the superhero type characters throwing his fist at the artist or the camera in the story. But to add drama, the artist would overlap the fist coming outside of the panel, breaking the wall of the panels, if you see what I mean. But you can't do that with movies and television because everything is contained within the frame. So you can get away with gimmicky things to make a screen look 3D, etc., but you can never make it look 3D beyond the confines of the screen, unless it's a kind of overlay that, like you imagine something like a clear piece of glass in front of your television that's maybe 6 inches away from the screen and contains additional information that becomes the foreground. But even that is just superimposing two very fixed things like screens. Yeah, moving on. I'm really getting into it today, aren't I? Making up for lost time. Anyway, this article is at Forbes.com, Forbes.com, and the title of the article by John Coates is "This No Headset Holographic Display Enables 3D Presence Remotely." Exciting new kind of stuff. I've changed to read something at Forbes that isn't written by Charlie Fink for that matter. Right, moving on. I see what I did. Right, okay. Okay, this is arpost.co, C-O, no com or anything, just C-O, arpost.co. And this is all about the trends and takeaways from the Web XR Business Summit. Now, I didn't really get to feel, this didn't get as much live coverage as I hoped it might, or videos or things like that. We're always interested in virtual worlds on the web, as opposed to in applications you have to download and run separately. A lot of any potential interoperability between some of these platforms would be enabled by the fact that they could all run on, basically be mounted on top of a web page. And a business summit took place last Tuesday, September 14th, in what they call the familiar meta multiverse. Well, at least it's a double M word, isn't it?
Double.
I thought the multiverse belonged to Marvel and Doctor Strange, and the metaverse was the one that was in problem. We will soon find out. Doctor Strange apparently is going to turn the multiverse at least on its head. Right. Put on by the same outfit that presents the Polio Bowls, the summit featured dozens of industry experts in 20 talks over 8 hours and streamed on several 2D social media sites, which weren't easy to find actually, as well as hubs engaged, AltSpace VR and other immersive environments. Hubs, and I suppose to a certain extent AltSpace, are natural ones here, aren't they? Because they have interfaces that work on the web as well as downloadable clients. Well, Hubs actually is totally on the web, if I recall. Topics covered everything from economics to ethics, and they couldn't cover everything, but they rounded up some of the highlights here, including why WebXR. Cool kids were saying the browser was dead when they started out, but the web has a magical way of closing the gap between physical and virtual experiences, etc., etc. And oh, hang on. My throat is going dry, forgive me.
Oh.
Yeah.
You must stay hydrated.
Yeah, my head is going dizzy too.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Coffee, which doesn't help hydrate, and then mind. We can't pretend. It's funny, in order to pick up my cup of coffee, I had to turn around and look at the monitor, and I realised that it shows living without me and moving.
Oh.
It's called lag at YouTube. Yep. Never mind. Back on form here. Right. Future of XR, remote events, etc., etc. Basically, it's a roundup, and there's links where you can get a lot of the replays of some of these events. No super big luminaries that I would say taking part here, but some intriguing discussions, and I certainly haven't. I don't think I sort of jumped into what I did find as well as this article actually, but certainly haven't. Alice Howland is better known, of course. Yeah, they're all pretty well known. They're just not major stars. Amy Peck, Jamie Burke's around quite a lot. Anyway, you can actually find them all now by clicking through to the YouTube channel, which we've got here. It's called the Web XR Space Summit Series, and there they all are. We'll come to a couple of these in a second anyway in my my video feed. So I'm going to put that one away for now. And oh, what's happening here? Right, I'm going to move ahead, sorry. Right, I'm moving straight into another site called theconversation.com, theconversation.com. And we got more about holograms here, and this is different too. Of course, both articles start off talking about Star Trek. On the holodeck, but that's just coincidence, I think. Holograms already used in a variety of ways. You know, we've actually seen rock stars, or pop stars more like it, as holograms on real stages. And, you know, things like Elvis Presley recreated as holograms so that they can keep having concerts with him. You know, this chap works at the University of Glasgow here in the UK. They're working on bendable electronics and sensing technologies. And they developed a system of holograms of people using aerohaptics. Yeah, now there's a word for you.
Yeah.
Can we live in the, how about living in the aerohaptic verse?
Okay.
Yay! Everybody,
Yay.
listen, we are going to we got it, folks. We are going to invent the aerohaptic verse. Yes!
About time.
Creating
Right.
feelings of touch with jets of air. This is cool, isn't it? Jets of air deliver a sensation of touch on people's fingers, hands, and wrists. Who needs an actual physical haptic when you've got aerohaptics? I love it. Love it. You know, I can see that working because I'm sure, you know, you must be a very rare person indeed if you don't sympathise when I say how wonderful it is to actually get outdoors sometimes and be in the wind and feel the wind blowing through your hair, and especially if the air is fresh. You know, it's just that enlivening experience for your body, isn't it? Amongst other things. But you definitely feel it, you know. It's invisible, it's in the air. It's nature's aerohaptic, you know. So it could be onto the thing here, really. And a question is, I guess, is how much energy and power, especially non-depleting power, it takes to make a wind artificially. Or maybe they can just redirect the whirlwind. After all, there'll be a lot of wind around as the sea level rises. Who knows? Right. This could be the first steps to building something like holodeck. They say they've got a little diagram there of windy thingies happening around a hand, and oh right, they've created a kind of pyramid shaped environment to actually do it in. Presumably that's the way I don't know what they're doing with the mirrors, but it would affect the way the breezes or the winds blow, I suppose. Everything's created and controlled by the Unity game engine, which of course it shares in common with a lot of virtual environments for authoring purposes. Also, it could help clinicians to collaborate on treatments for patients, make patients feel more involved and informed in the process, and doctors could possibly feel and discuss the features of tumour cells and actually show patients plans for a medical procedure. So they obviously think ahead as to all the ways it could be used. And it's funny, there isn't very much funding in medicine, as we so well know these days, you know, although there does seem to be funding for research. And it's almost odd that medicine and, you know, medical things are you know, considered a great template for, you know, developing these things. How many hospitals and doctors and things will better afford the technology when they've done it is another matter entirely. But I guess they tend to think they look good if they're developing something that be used in medicine. I mean, after all, if the only people that can use your politics are CEOs or politicians or some less fashionable way profession, Appealing to the medical fraternity is a pretty good bet, really. Anyway, I'm being cynical again, aren't I? This post is at theconversation.com, theconversation.com. And put that one away before I spoil this. Right, back to Forbes.com, and this, of course, is Charlie Fink's regular Friday, really, post. This week in XR, rooms out of stealth with browser-based metaverse play. Now, this is interesting. I had another link about rooms. This is rooms spelt with 3 O's, by the way, which is meant to represent 3 dimensions, 3-dimensional rooms. So it's rooms. It's a bit like what Scott goes sort of wonderful. We got the howl. Oh yeah, room.
Room.
Except for room only had 2 O's. It was just the way it was written that was funny. Anyway, right. Metaverse belongs to everyone in many ways. It's here already, but its definition is still up for grabs. Mark Zuckerberg really shouldn't have tried describing it at all, but that's my opinion. Right, looking back on the Oasis and Ready Player One and Stevenson, etc., etc. Powered by 5G will power the first iteration of the metaverse. Arguably, it's a lot worse on 4G already. Okay, this program called Rooms came out of stealth yesterday with a $7 million XR collaboration and conference platform. Basically, it's a German company, and they've also been selected by OR, the Augmented World Expo. This is really quick, to be the cross-platform partner for their up-and-coming conference in Santa Clara in November. So that, as they say here, is quite an endorsement. The browser-based rooms is a short challenge to app-based collaboration conference tool Vibella, which I've also described as a simplified Second Life for business. The 3 O's in the company name symbolize the 3 dimensions of the M word. And the environments can accommodate thousands of users simultaneously on a PC, mobile, and in a headset. Exclusive features to allow users to build their own spaces available, and they provide a 3D object library with furniture, exhibition booths, decoration, and, believe it or not, advertising space. Gosh golly. The company quietly beta tested with clients like Carl Zeiss, Deutsche Telekom, DHL, E.ON, Mars, PwC, and Vodafone. So I did. If you go to my Twitter feed, you will find another link specifically about the announcement about rooms, which is kind of interesting. It seems like one of the slightly more thought out of the new entries in the Viperverse, whatever. Right, now, as if Facebook haven't grabbed enough, actually. Apparently, they've taught Zoom into integrating with Facebook's Horizon VR workrooms. That's the useless space everybody's been talking about. Maybe God Emperor Zuckerberg believes that bringing in Zoom will give them a better chance of being taken seriously. I don't know. Facebook hasn't made too much of a big deal about this yet because the integration won't be ready until next year, 2022. Okay, more about therapy stuff. Virtuality can help with memories. Right, yeah. A few launches from Rec Room, which is a pretty respectable platform. Rec Room predates the COVID rush for things, which is always nice to see a name that you know has been around longer than COVID. Right, and yeah. Oh, and an advert, of course, for the video coming up in a minute. Apple and Facebook are coming for your face next. This is just other reading, really. There wasn't anything really relevant to us, but of course on Monday Apple had their big conference launching the not conference, what do you call it? Well, presentation, launching new iPhone models. They announced the new Apple Watch, which I want to get, but it's not available to the audience. It's autumn rather. It's been delayed. But there was nothing about. There was a little bit about augmented reality abilities of the iPhone, but nothing very specific. Certainly no announcements about glasses or headsets or any such things. So, but always interesting from a general tech point of view. Okay, so that was Apple, of course. I'm going to move along there from Forbes, and another enterprise site really. This is the VRARA.com, TheVRARA.com. So it's the VR Association. No, the VRAR Association is what it stands for. So it's a bit of an awkward one to read out, a bit of a tongue twister. TheVRARA.com. And their European chapter, well, no, there's also chapters even in individual cities around Britain. They're holding a European summit to unite global XR leaders. And I'll be from September 29th to October 1st. So it's funny how these things sort of get announced, barely weeks before it's actually happening. Of course, it's a digital event, right? So you have to buy your full tickets, but I guess you don't have to make your travel arrangements or anything, so they can get away with short notice, can't they? Their Hop-In in-house virtual events platform can host more than 300 speakers, sessions, and virtual booths for attendees. And its top sponsor is Pico Interactive, and it will be hosting sessions with executives from Oculus, Pico, RealWear, Unity, HTC Vive, and others. And this is a little trailer for this.
I'm Metahuman.
Audiences can now explore the ancient ruins that tell the story of his life. Data is the crude oil of the modern economy.
Okay, I think you get the idea. I can live without Boris Johnson on that for sure. But actually, I've been, when somebody say our stuff, my pet people have been a bit of a nervous disposition. I mean, I'm a bit of nervous disposition. There was a scene earlier in there where it showed somebody literally would be seen through a pair of glasses, augmented reality, remember? Giant rock like an asteroid falling from the sky on top of them. And, I mean, if you were walking around past a shop and that was an advert for a video game that involved shooting at falling asteroids or something, and that powered up unawares as you walk by the shop, you could have a heart attack. Because the suddenness of what you're seeing as augmented reality, for a moment you would think it was real. And it wouldn't take much. I mean, just remember, what was it? Orson Welles, wasn't it, who did War of the Worlds in America on the radio?
Yeah.
And people were so, because of the way it was structured, I don't think it ever was allowed again, but people really thought it was happening. It people will suspend disbelief if the packaging is right, And walking down the street and suddenly turning a corner and finding an asteroid about to fall on my head doesn't sound like, well, it does sound like heart attack material to me. But so maybe we should be thinking about what we do with these things too. And arguably, putting Boris Johnson on the screen is equally dangerous for a heart attack.
That would give me a heart attack.
That's what I mean. Yes. Oh, I can live with the asteroids, but Boris Johnson, please.
Right.
Anyway, this European Summit will join XR developers, vendors, enterprises, and enthusiasts in a networking program connecting audiences via one-to-one videos and roundtables, etc., etc., and big sponsors, etc., etc. I'm going to quickly get to their website here. Here we are. Okay, now I don't know why. I had a feeling that there might have been more. Oh God, what am I doing? That's it. Right. Okay. So, why have I got that twice? Oh, I probably just clicked it again, didn't I? Okay. So you'll find that at the VRARA.com, THEVRARA.com, and yeah, as I say, coming up. We're in September already, so 29th, and it's 10 days away. It's really pretty imminent, by the way. Right, we did this trends and we're getting to the bottom now. Okay, one more actual link here, and right, the Somnium Times is a kind of outlet for the Somnium Space M word. Arthur Seigold is the founder and CEO of Somnium Space. He's a talkative chap and not unintelligent either. He held a sort of TEDx cross-reality talk about the future of the immersive M. And he dressed up in a Tesla suit and connected the real-life audience with the VR audience in Somnium Space in real time whilst he was physically on the stage. This is September 18th, which is yesterday, isn't it? Yeah. So it's over, but this is sort of telling people what happened. It's really a promotion for Somnium Space, but it looks good. I never disliked Somnium Space, although I'm not really into the blockchain and cryptocurrencies and stuff. But the worst thing about Somnium Space is you land and you have nowhere to go. It's not like you can quickly get up in the air and fly across a region like something like Second Life and stumble onto something. You see something on the horizon and it takes you 2 hours to actually walk or trot there, and if I know a couple of things where I've heard something happening in Somnium Space. I've logged in, landed, and not had a clue where to go. No what's-ons or no teleports or link marks or whatever. So I just didn't feel it very easy to navigate. Although from what I've seen of filming of events and things there that people have got to, it's not half bad. This, by the way, is the real world, I think, picture, and I think that's in the. He really blended the two, so I'm not quite sure. I think that's him on stage, but I think all the other components are a projection from Somnium Space itself. It wasn't an official TEDx, by the way. It's an independently organised TED event, which people are allowed to do. So it was clearly done as PR. He looks rather well kitted out there, doesn't he? Well, he is the CEO. It talks about decentralisation as part of the M word, and anywhere in the world will be able to participate in socialising and also economically. This is an end in itself. Paradigm shifts. Currently, billions of people have no access to bank accounts, unable to participate in society and be economically active. With a decentralised metaverse, however, a whole new world will open up. Regardless of location and status, anyone can participate. Providing somebody tells them how to participate and get around, I think is the add-on message we should go there. Okay, land parcels, avatars, cars, custom objects are owned by users, not Somnium Space. This segregation is key for building an economically thriving metaverse where people will be able to purchase, create, trade, etc. This is Somebody, I think it was Dr. Frown, was talking a couple of days ago about looking back on Philip Rosedale's High Fidelity, and how it innovated a lot of the stuff that people are doing here now. But it's the purchasing, creating, trading in a permissionless public way. This isn't to say there's an aspect that there isn't an aspect of something in space that is still a sort of walled garden. They're actually saying that all these things are owned by users, not something in space. Now that's different for Second Life, because Second Life users own the virtual things in Second Life. They don't actually own the objects themselves, and they can't export them out of Second Life. So it's all within a walled garden. So you may own the thing and be able to trade it and swap it and everything else like that. But what he doesn't really go into is that trade in a permissionless public way. Does that mean trade in and out of something in space? Or is it like Epic's vision where something in space is the metaverse? The foundation that remains. I mean, never forget that even the almighty Facebook, I had better mention it by name, was built on a small platform, that just grabbed everything and built on top of itself. There's a lot of rumors about who helped build the original underlying, back office code for Facebook. It was, American government. But, despite the fact it's an independent, it's a country in itself now, but it's a giant independent thing. Underneath it all, the foundations on which Facebook were built are still owned by the US government. I'm not stating that as fact, by the way. I'm stating it as a hypothesis that is around. So what would happen if we had a virtual world that becomes, say, a prototype metaverse of 5 years' time, that we gradually forget is built on one platform? Maybe the one platform it's built on isn't mentioned very much, and the name of what's built on top of it has massive variations, and we go on about interoperability and stuff like that, but it needs to be the whole interoperability system needs to be open. You've got to have a walled garden metaverse that runs the world like Facebook and is not open on every single level to everybody else. And talking of Facebook, it reminded me the other day, I logged into something I hadn't logged into for a long while, and I couldn't get a login to work however I tried, until I pressed a button saying log in with Facebook. And this has been going on for years, and I've got lots of old sites where I made the mistake of logging in, literally signing up, not just logging in, but signing up with Facebook. Mm-hmm. So my identity on a photo sharing site here or something else there is forever linked to my Facebook identity. And so basically, I either remember that it's my Facebook ID I need, or I press a button that goes to Facebook to authenticate me and then brings me back. But it means that basically, although they use a slightly different technology, because I use Facebook to log in to that site, when Facebook approve me and route me back to that site, it's like they're dumping the site in an iframe and monitoring everything I do. Which they might not. I'm not saying they wouldn't, totally wouldn't, but they probably would not be able to do if I hadn't done the login via Facebook, because the page takes me to Facebook, authenticates me, and Facebook itself sends me back to the original site, but there's no guarantee that I'm getting to the original site as a web page or within an iframe inside a Facebook web page, if you see what I mean. It's an old trick. It's very useful, actually, for mechanics and stuff, but not for Facebook, please. Anyway, there we are, tempting down the rabbit hole again we went. Right. Okay, so this was posted at somniumtimes.com, SOMNIUMTIMES.com, and they do actually have quite a decent amount of rather good stuff on that site, although it is heavily biased to Somnium space, of course. Right, so before I move on to our final roundup of videos, this you may have a problem getting through to. This podcast, Danny in the Valley, is part of the Times, which I guess is Rupert Murdoch's network, where we're in whatever country you're in. Um, the closest I could get to a link I've got at the top of the page here is playacast.com. So play.acast.com. And just to get it up for you on the show today, after my initial listen the other day, was very awkward. I thought I was actually going to have to pass on this. The original link I had to this was on Twitter, and it went to Twitter, and a link on Twitter went to this site. But if I tried it again today, Twitter reported that the link had been deleted. But as you can see, I did still manage to get it by digging down this Acast site. Unfortunately, all I can do is say you can click on my link on the website and fight your way through from there. I don't think there are lots of adverts for subscribing to the Times, but I don't think the Danny in the Valley is a paywall in itself. But as far as I know, oh, hang on, just need to check. Yeah, you can share it on social. Oh, here we are. Right. Okay, it's actually play.acast.com/s. Oh, no, I cannot read 5,000 numbers. Sorry. Right, but if you can get to this, you can get to the yeah. You can copy and paste the exact link from there. But this is a great interview. I mean, it seems to me I'm always saying, "Oh, great, new Philip Rosedale interview. This is interesting." It's good. It's an interview with. I think the journalist has met Philip before, but it's not a strictly techie interview. It's his views on the trouble of building the metaverse, but that also includes looking back on High Fidelity, on Second Life, and looking forward. It's a very all-rounded general conversation. It's an hour and 5 minutes, but it felt like more like 90 minutes or 2 hours. It's it's totally engaging all the way through, as Philip usually is. So worthy, I think, of a thing there. Sunday Times tech correspondent Danny Fortson brings on High Fidelity's Philip Rosedale to talk about virtual worlds before the internet. And there's this time coded too. So before the internet is 4 minutes, founding Second Life 8 minutes, capturing the zeitgeist 11 minutes, Second Life today 16 minutes, current metaverse hype 20 minutes, so he fires away on that one, and the challenge of living a virtual life 23 minutes, and the folly of the hybrid workplace, that's 30 minutes. This is the time into the program, by the way, not the length of the segment. Importance of business models, hardware challenges, augmented reality, tech's misunderstanding of human behavior, and the dystopic idea that yielded the metaverse, and Burning Man in the time of COVID. So I cover all Philip's favourites there, I think, especially Burning Man at the end there. It's a good one. If you wonder, I'm not in my normal browser, so if you're wondering what I'm doing now, I'm just seeing if it's possible to download the podcast, but I can't see it there. In my normal browser with all my plugins, it might be possible, but yeah. At least you can share it with yourself. You can obviously share it on Twitter, or you can send yourself an email with the link. So there you go. Right, okay, that is just strictly speaking audio, of course. So moving to my last thing on screen here, which is been here every week for a few weeks now. This is my feed at Mastodon. You can find it at mastodon.social/@Metaworld. And basically this is where I keep videos from the week. They do end up on Twitter because this feed itself gets tweeted out now, but for a long while I was sort of keeping them separate. First off, of course, the latest one we've got, which I think it was available yesterday, but I only got it today. The latest This Week in XR podcast. This is Charlie Fink and Ted Shilowitz's actual video cast. as opposed to the text roundup of Forbes. And Mike Boland, God, I've forgotten. Let's play as you see.
So not a big news. Who knows probably more about this business than I will ever learn, and has been a great friend and resource for me as I have become an expert over the past 6 years. So not a big news week this week, you guys. Lots of small, interesting stories.
Oh, that's strange. Okay, here we are.
These days.
Sure. So, like you said, I run a sort of research and insights firm called Artillery Intelligence. Sort of connected at the hip to that is our publication AR Insider, and that's where we sort of republish your column. And credit to you, we do very little editing actually. Most of it is sort of formatting and making it look pretty because, well, I won't talk about Forbes's sort of
Yes, it gets rather interesting there. Basically, they nick this video every week and incorporate it into their own, but they tart it up because they don't think it looks good enough. But anyway, yeah, as I say, Mike Boland, their guest there, is the editor of that site. So it's the usual general thing, and look back on the week. And as Charlie just said at the beginning there, it hasn't been a particularly busy week. Right, moving down then, this one I found yesterday. This is the 4th episode of the latest season of Between Realities. Can't find episode 3 anywhere unless it's further down the list, but this is this week's anyway. A lot of these start their theme tune playing about half an hour before they're ready to go on air, which is annoying me. Oh. And you even get the text at the side of the screen of everybody complaining, where are you? You're late. Okay. It just is not fair. They've got a camera on their audience. I want a camera on my audience.
Well, you know I can do it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Between Realities, the VR podcast of your dreams, and the good ones, the good kind, like you want. Welcome to the show. My name is Alex VR. I am one of your hosts. The show has 2 hosts, and the second one is this fellow sitting next to me, and his name is Skiva. Skiva, how are you doing, sir?
I'm good.
Right. He's good. They're both good. And yeah, they're jealous. They've got an extra camera. I need one. Right. we'll have to work on that. Right. Even if it's only for the intro. Right. Let's see. Their focus is very hard to define. This show. They do include quite a lot of stuff. They call themselves the Between Realities VR podcast. But they do have a fairly serious focus on games, as well as generic VR or virtual worlds and things. It's usually worth my tagging because these videos I tag here, I've actually got in my private Skype channel, and I can basically recall them, even from years ago, at any time if I need to grab the footage and reuse it anywhere. But it's just good to get a sort of database of all these links week by week. So good listening, but nothing particularly in this episode that is really pertinent to hardcore VR or virtual worlds. Plenty for gamers, I hasten to add there. All right, moving down, this 5 days ago. This was earlier in the week. It's Lex Friedman's podcast, and it features Sharon Lanier, who's Virtuality, Social Media, and the Future of Humans. Sharon has given a few talks, about a year ago, I think, or maybe even longer now, when he did one in Science Space.
He tried to.
Yeah, yes, maybe that's it. Well, he sort of did in the end. It was the first thing that got Philip into Science Space, but he ended up in the sky and couldn't get down. I do sympathise. But this is good listening anyway.
The following is a conversation with Jaron Lanier, a computer scientist, visual artist, philosopher, right?
Why? I don't think we got the realistic looking human robots yet, but that guy sounds a bit like one. I hate to say it.
And these days it's called augmented reality. But with something like a HoloLens, even then, like one of my favorite things is to augment a forest, not because I think the forest needs augmentation, but when you look at the augmentation next to a real tree, the real tree just pops out as being astounding. It's interactive, it's changing slightly all the time if you pay attention, and it's hard to pay attention to that, but when you compare it to virtual reality, all of a sudden you do. And even in practical applications, my favorite early application of virtual reality, which we prototyped going back to the 80s when I was working with Dr. Joe Rosen at Stanford Med, near where we are now, we made the first surgical simulator. And to go from...
I forget. I'm not here to listen to it again. There's well over an hour that way. No, it's nearly 2 hours. 1 hour 52 minutes. So you'll forgive me if I don't actually play that as an outro to our program. But well worth checking out. Let me get a. It's the Lex Friedman podcast. Hang on, I know what I'll do. I'll just open YouTube to find the account you need.
The following is a conversation with Jaron Lanier, a computer scientist, visual artist, philosopher, writer, futurist, musician, and the founder of the field of virtual reality.
Weighty intro there. Right, so Lex Friedman, who's the robot... I keep wanting to say it's the robot who's talking, but there's something about his voice it's too precise to be real. But anyway, it's his podcast, and it's Lex, first name, space Friedman, F-R-I-D-M-A-N. And maybe I sound a bit rude about him, but it's well worth listening to the podcast. I'm sorry, I can't help commenting, can I? I'm naughty. I'm really naughty. Right, let's... Oh, God, I've got to go back, haven't I? Right, okay, here we go. So, excellent talk there, really. And it's not just an interview with him, as you probably saw from the extract. He's got an inset camera showing video clips and things that the things he's talking about. So all very cohesive. Right, 6 days ago, this was actually the first one of the week I put up. Lava Virtual Europe 21. This happened on July the 8th this year. And let's do the obligatory. I think it's just called Lava Virtual. Yes, it is. The YouTube site is Laval space virtual, Laval space VIRTULAL, and that's what's there. And so this was a one-day conference from July the 8th, which only just seems to have appeared up there. This is Laval's Virtual World. It tends to be used for enterprise-type conferences. I often get it a wee bit confused with Vibella. There are similarities to the way it looks, if nothing else. Let me scroll forward to see what we've got here. Yeah, here we are. These are avatars that do actually have legs. You'll be surprised to know. Unfortunately, the camera facilities in Laval are not great. It's like Vibella. You really have to position yourself in front of the stage, zoom into the best view you can get, and live with it. What I do know, and I can't remember whether they have it here or they're certainly doing Vibella, and that is if you were in the real audience, you have some buttons you can press to give you different camera angles, so you will be able to see the stage, but you'd also get a camera giving each of the 3 screens full screen, if you see what I mean. So there's things in the interface, that allow you access to some of the stuff in the scene that
Hello, everyone.
Oh yes, and they are French, although they're speaking.
And covering thousands of square feet without using any VR manual teleportation.
Okay, not much I can say about this, but if you're interested in these conferences things, it's all in English. As you can tell, you probably have to boost the volume of that. it's not exactly hot, as they say, when you're listening to it. And but yeah, it's perfectly audible. I mean, most of them seem to have French or European accents, but they are actually speaking in the something that at least passes for the English language. So that's fine. And yeah, then we're back to the other stuff. Now, I guess this has happened the second week running. I seem to be missing. Um, we know this happened last week because we thought it was the holiday in America on the Monday, but it's happened this week too. I don't seem to have a VR download. Did you see it, James?
No, there wasn't. There wasn't the technology VR download. There was just the gaming one on Thursday.
That's what I thought. I remember seeing that one. Okay, well, I hope they haven't kicked it into the long grass or anything. We'll have to see. So, yeah, I knew there was something that is, you know, there are these regular ones, especially now Between Realities is back. You know, there's the Charlie Fink one, there's the VR download, and there's the, well, you see, there are a couple of others this week. I didn't link them because there wasn't much in them, but they're like the VR cafe and things like that. That we've had the odd one in the past, but I only post them if there's something interesting discussed in them, you know. So, okay. Well, I'm pleased to announce, for the benefit of the hard-working people behind the scenes here, that we have now reached the end.
Oh my!
Oh my! Yes. I have a feeling that I didn't get us under an hour. I just talked too much.
Well, we're an hour and 26 minutes at this point.
Okay, well, at least we're under 90 minutes, and if I actually handle these sign out neatly, we can keep it under 90.
We could.
That's the big problem. How do I sign out in less than 10,000 words?
Well, don't ask your technician to offer an opinion.
Well, I was about to. I was just about to.
No,
I was just about to. Because
that's
if
another rabbit hole, right?
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. If you'd had one, it's always worth it. It's nice to have somebody on the show who can give a brief opinion other than mine.
No opinion today.
No opinion today. Okay, fine. Well, we hope you've enjoyed what links we're able to bring you this week. As Charlie Fink said too, it's been a very quiet week, so I wasn't the only one moaning about that. Just be grateful you don't have to plow through the actual feeds actually based on a search engine for something called Metaverse. Because for something that doesn't have a clear definition yet, there's a fuck of a lot of links which need to be filtered out. But anyway, that's that. Right, so I'm Mal Burns, and of course I'm with James Outloud here. And speaking of which, it is goodbye from him. And
speaking of which, it's goodbye from him.
So it's goodbye from both of us. That was neatly put, was it not?
Mm-hmm.
It's all meant to be a homage to two British comedians who can't even remember the name of these days. Anyway.
I used to know their names.
Yeah, I used to know their names too, but it's a long while ago.
The two Ronnies. The Ronnies.
That's it. Yeah, probably. Yeah, but yeah, that's right. Yeah, this is. Yeah, the two Ronnies. There you go. It's still not quite faded from the collective memory. Mm-hmm. Right. Okay. So that's where we are. This is where we are. All I can say is we will be back same time, same place next week. We film live here in Sansar. And it's 11 a.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. in the UK. And it's all going to be messed up shortly with the change of daylight savings time, which I dreaded was going to be last night, but it hasn't happened yet. But we will be back, and you can always watch us on my own private channel, Mal Burns, at youtube.com. So with that, wish you all well. Have a happy, stress-free, contented, safe week. Don't go out anywhere you shouldn't. Don't pick up anything you shouldn't, and certainly don't give it away to anybody else. And with that, it's bye for now. We'll see you soon. Yay. Thank you. I think I'm going to have to nick somebody else's.